Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., all rights reserved.
Welcome back. It's 12 after the hour. Thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for hanging out with me. Always a pleasure to continue to be with you. I'm Jim Blasingame, and you're listening to the Small Business Advocate Show, and I'm glad you're here. I'm glad our new friend Chris Orestis is here, ladies and gentlemen. Chris is a nationally known senior healthcare advocate and expert. He is the CEO of Life Care Funding, and he's here to talk to us about some things that you and I need to know as we look into taking care of our elderly parents. Chris Orestis, welcome to the show.
Jim, thank you very much. It's really a pleasure to be here. And it's a topic that I always look for opportunities to speak about.
Well, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. Because, you know, there's something like almost 80 million, like 78 or so million baby boomers who have parents who are in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. Some baby boomers are getting on up there. I'm not going to point any particular fingers at anybody, but some baby boomers are getting on up there, and they're having their issues. So there are a lot of children who are either have been or are now or will be faced with taking care of their aging parents, their elderly parents. And one of the challenges that we have these days, Chris, is that oftentimes we don't live near our parents. How do we deal with when we show up for a visit and things have changed? It can be really frustrating to try to take care of them and not have any kind of as much regular access. What do you think?
Oh, no, you're absolutely right about that, Jim. You know, we're talking to seniors and families every day about their questions regarding long-term care, how to pay for it. And this time of year in particular, you know, we're just really only 3 weeks past the New Year's and Christmas and all that, and our phone has been ringing off the hook because families got back together again that hadn't seen each other in a while, and all of a sudden they started to notice that just in a few short months since the last time they had seen their mother or their father, things had changed. And what we tell families is look for some of the clues, because there's clues, and they're pretty common. You know, things like memory, things like health, and things like physical signs of like the condition of the home. You want to look for, when you're sitting there having dinner, is your mother or father, you know, calling everybody by the wrong names, confusing dates, thinking that something that happened 30 years ago is something that's happening today? Or from a health standpoint, when they get up from the dinner table, are they having a much more difficult time, not just getting up, but with balance? You know, those start to be some of the physical manifestations.
There are other examples, Chris, that can even be more difficult, because I've witnessed this in my own family. Elderly members of my family, you know, different relations, where there's an onset of dementia, but it doesn't manifest in forgetfulness. It doesn't manifest as any physical problems. It manifests as them being different about things, being obsessed with something, or being illogical about something, or being difficult about something. And what I now know, looking back, is that was the early manifestation of what became dementia. And so we thought the extended families for these folks thought, because I have more than one example, Chris, the extended family thought that this person was just being difficult. And the truth is, I call it, it's my non-clinical term, but here's the term I came up with, Chris. I call it partitioned dementia, meaning if you have 20 parts of your life, you're really good at 19, but one of them you're starting to slip on, and then it migrates. What do you think?
Well, again, it's those clues, right? And that's a clue. And what we tell families is don't ignore the clues.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
there's an old saying, where there's a hint of doubt, there is no doubt. And when you see those clues, don't blow them off. Don't just dismiss them to be quote unquote senior moments.
And let me tell you one other thing in here, Chris. Here's something I've seen with other families. The parent misbehaves because of this partition dementia, I'm calling it, and it makes one of the siblings mad because they just don't like the way their behaviors, and they literally write the parent off. They get mad at them and go away. And the truth is that the person wasn't doing it to you. It was their condition. What do you think?
No, you're absolutely right. That's not a time to get mad and make it about yourself. It's a time to pick up on that clue. And if you have siblings, and most people do, not only siblings, but then spouses as well, what we encourage families to do is to get on the same game plan. You need to, before somebody at the dinner table just blurts out either, you're acting crazy, Mom, and gets up and walk away, or somebody blurts out, Mom's not looking so good, maybe it's time to move her into a nursing home.
Yeah.
The kids need to sit down, and when we're talking about kids, we're talking about adult children. We're talking about people in their 40s, their 50s, and even their 60s. Right. I mean, just as an aside, you mentioned the baby boomers. 10,000 baby boomers a day are turning 65 in this country. So they're starting to confront their own senior years while having to look at their parents and look for these issues. And what we tell the families are, get on the same page, figure out a game plan, talk with each other before you start to blurt out and run down the road of some harsh move. It's take it in steps, take it easy, but don't ignore those clues, and don't just get up and walk away from it and pretend it's not there and think things are going to go away, because once it starts going in that direction, it keeps going in that direction.
But it goes in that direction, but it also morphs. That's the main thing I want to point out to people is an illogical behavior today may be illogical about something else a year from now. But you've got so many issues. You've got power of attorney. You've got the financial part, keeping up with the financial part. I have a friend whose mother was giving thousands of dollars a year to all these charities, and they put her on a list. Every time somebody would ask her for money, she'd write them a big check. She had to figure out how to get control of that. She was giving all her money away to organizations that didn't deserve it.
Well, that's right. That's part of what we say about getting on the same page and having a game plan. One of those things you need to talk about is, should somebody be the power of attorney? Should somebody be the point person who maybe is living closest to their parent, or looking at facilities, meeting
all I'm going to say,
folks,
providers. Is good luck, because this is tough. This is one of the dealing with these situations is going to be one of the toughest situations you'll ever have in your life. We're going to come back with some solutions with our new friend Chris Orestis after these messages.
Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., intended for the private use of our audience. Except as otherwise provided by copyright law, all other copying, redistribution, or publication without prior written consent is prohibited. All rights reserved. Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc. All rights reserved.
Welcome back, 23 after the hour. Thank you very much for staying with me. That's the Birds bringing us back. A little song from Ecclesiastes. I'm Jim Blasingame, and I am the Small Business Advocate. Please check out my websites, smallbusinessadvocate.com, and my new one, which is all about my book, The Age of the Customer, which is available right now, folks. So check it out at Amazon or Books A Million, or you can get an autographed copy from me by going to ageofthecustomer.com and see what you think there. I'm curious to know what you think about that website. So let me know what you think. Having a great visit with our new friend Chris Orestis. Chris is nationally known senior healthcare expert, CEO of Life Care Funding, lifecarefunding.com. Is that right, Chris?
That's right. Lifecarefunding.com is how you can reach our company.
And you got we're talking about taking care of our elderly parents. folks, and which we're all going to be. I look at my own children, Chris, and I make sure my children know all about what I'm doing for my parents. I want them to have a good model for how to take care of me.
Well, there's an old joke: treat your children well, because they're going to choose the nursing home.
That's exactly right. They're going to be the one to choose your nursing home, and that is absolutely, folks. You can scratch that on a rock, because that is the truth. I've done both of those things. So, Chris, one of the big challenges that people have is converting mom and or dad, from a financial life that they've been managing and paying for with their income and their retirement, etc., their home and all that, converting all that over to another life where this very expensive care, more involved care, either assisted living or nursing home, but clearly much more expensive than when they lived on their own in their house that was paid for with the income that they have. Making that conversion is a very complicated and very expensive process, isn't it?
It is, and it's a delicate one, too. Your parents have been financially independent and proud, working Americans for years, and then one day they find themselves in this position where they're losing that independence. They need help. They don't want to be a financial burden on anybody. But you're walking into a very expensive scenario. The cost of an assisted living center could cost $5,000 a month, and that's cash.
Yeah.
Insurance doesn't cover that. Medicaid and Medicare doesn't cover that. You have to pay for that out of your pocket. So the two big things that we are always dealing with the clients that we help is, one, what type of care is best? Is it home care? Is it assisted living? Is it a nursing home? And two, how do you pay for it? What's the differences between Medicare and Medicaid? What does insurance cover? For many families, what our company specializes in is we help them take a life insurance policy that they're going to get rid of and instead turn it into monthly payments to help them cover their costs of long-term care.
So are you talking about converting future death benefits into a current annuity?
No, it's not an annuity. It's actually a long-term care benefit account.
Right.
It's a protected account that you take the life insurance death benefit, and a portion of it, in essence, you're able to trade in or sell that life insurance.
So this is not unlike. I hope
you
don't mind the comparison. This is not unlike the real estate products that they're selling right now, where you can.
Well, that's Jim. That's a fair comparison. I mean, there's some real differences, but in simplest terms, it's
you're taking
like
future value and converting it into current income.
Right, you're taking like a reverse mortgage does.
That's what I
on a house. In essence, you're doing a similar thing. You're taking the present value of the policy as opposed to holding on to it.
But
for
your family member has to have a policy, and it probably needs to be a permanent policy, right?
Yeah, well, you can use any form of life insurance. You can use term life, you can use universal life, you can use whole life, you can use group life. Any kind of life insurance will work. The big trick is that so many seniors let go of policies. When they get to the point that we're talking about and families are sitting down trying to figure out what they're going to do, they say, well, why do we still have this life insurance policy from 20 years ago? Get rid of that.
And folks, that's a conversation. That's a conversation you need to have with your parents, because if you don't, he's right, Chris is right, they'll just let that lapse rather than make the payment, not realizing that policy could be monetized.
Well, that's right.
And that they're going to need that money.
That's right. I mean, and just for a sense of what you could get, we'll work with a family with a $100,000 life insurance policy that they're about to get rid of, and we might be able to turn that into $50,000 or $60,000 towards their care.
Right.
And that's enough to keep somebody covered for 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And families just don't know, and so that's what we're always encouraging families. You've got to talk. You've got to prepare. You've got to be ready to ask some hard questions about the finances. Mom, Dad, do you have a life insurance policy? What kind of savings? Where are your records? Let's make sure that we're not trying to figure all this out in a crisis mode where Mom maybe is in the hospital and everybody for the first time starts looking at each other saying, okay, well, now what do we do?
Chris, I need your website and tell folks how they can find out about this product. And you got a new ebook coming out, too.
That's right. Our website for a lot of helpful information is lifecarefunding.com, and we have very friendly phone representatives who are always ready to talk to families and answer their questions. And we will be releasing an ebook talking about all this, and it'll be on our website in another 2 or 3 weeks. It should be up.
So check that out. Chris Orestis, thanks for being here. Good job.
Jim, thank you for having me.
And we're going to take a quick break. 29 after. I'm Jim Blasingame. Stay with me. I'll be right back.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel. I see it burning bright. It don't matter where.
Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., intended for the private use of our audience. Except as otherwise provided by copyright law, all other copying, redistribution, or publication without prior written consent is prohibited. All rights reserved.